Well, hello everyone. I am reporting to you somewhat live from San Diego. Here I am attending the Association for Talent Development, both the Leader Conference and the International Conference and Exposition. So my plan is to kind of brief out the cool stuff that I've been learning over the past few days. So we're going to start with the ALC conference. ALC started off with a welcome and orientation on Friday night. It was great to see a lot of folks that I've met virtually, but now met face to face. And there was a vibe about the whole thing, about networking. So if you are in ATD and you haven't taken an opportunity to really get involved, I encourage you to do this. Getting to know people, other professionals in your organization will help raise your game. And that's what I've kind of find out here. So I took the train in, right? Long journey, I was seat tired, but I finally made it. But coming into that meeting, I was feeling a little down, but then I started getting in with people. Started talking to people, sharing things that were going well, things that we were struggling with, and it just kind of brought a sense of energy. So I encourage you to do that, right? Learn how to network, learn how to get out and meet new people. And it's really tough because we've been dealing with COVID, and with this whole COVID thing, we've been indoors, not getting with people. I encourage you to get up, get out, and meet people, okay? This is about the Leaders Conference. So they were really stressing this idea of mentoring, coaching, right? Getting with other people who are maybe a little ahead of you, that could be a role model. And I certainly encourage you to do that. Delegating responsibilities. That, talking with a lot of other presidents out there, and you can get overwhelmed by trying to do it all yourself, right? Where you have a gap and you got to fill that gap. So going out and making sure that you're fully utilizing your folks in your membership helps out, okay? Another thing they were stressing throughout the conference, and I sat in on one of the sessions, was the SOS, right? Share our success. That in order to help the organization continue to get better, right, there's a lot of great ideas across the entire organization. And the idea is to share these, right, to help everyone else raise their game. So definitely that was something that I was tapping into. So I was, thinking about the different SOSs that our chapter could provide. I submitted one. We'll see where that goes. And it dealt with, our use of Asana and how we use templates in Asana to move things forward. So, but that was just the orientation. That was just the first hour of the conference. Saturday started with a breakfast, and got the introductions and got to meet everybody on the planning team, and that was great. But then we immediately dove into our, the breakout session. So one of the areas that I was focusing on was dealing with our finances. If I haven't told you, I'm still looking for a volunteer for VP of Finances, so come see me. But the session I sat in was called Just Right, Digitizing Records and Migrating to Free Bookkeeping, from Julie Odo from Hawaii. Did a wonderful presentation. First we talked about the barriers that were holding our finances back. And the first thing that came to my mind is I did not have a VP, right? Somebody not to do that. But other things that rose to the top were lack of standard operating procedures, lack of cross-training so everybody knew what was going on. Some organizations are still pushing paper back and forth and not digitizing it. and also doing things locally on a computer, right? So it was not in the cloud. It wasn't accessible by others in the organization. Couple good ideas, making sure that you had a good confidential file for your passwords. And Julie showed how they organize their finances. They use Google Drive, organize their invoices, organize their statements. Lots of good stuff that I picked up out of that. Another great idea was that they were keeping a reimbursement spreadsheet that they had a list of who needed to be reimbursed and when they got reimbursed, and, and what the reason was. But also they were using PayPal to do that. Other chapters were using Venmo as a way to pay, which was synced right to the bank. That is something that I definitely want to look into. And Julie also was showing off another product that they moved away from QuickBooks, primarily because QuickBooks, they were paying for a monthly fee at $25. They moved to another resource called Wave, which is a free cloud-based application. But with that, there's some features that are not there, right? So you have to kind of look at it and kind of weigh it out. So that was the first breakout session. The next one was dealing with board retreats, right? We have a board retreat that we're going to have in the fall, and basically plan what we're going to do in 2024. And so this was just really just a lot of discussion about that. So, some primary things about the board retreat was, one, how do we continue forward momentum, right? So part of it is looking in the past, but also how to move forward. Others was relationship building, right? Building a team from your board and, making sure that you were aligned on issues. So there was a number of ideas that I picked up from that. A lot of it dealt with pre-work, that you would get information ahead of time from the board, from their perspective, right? And kind of pull that information together, and then, use the retreat in order to reconcile, right? To figure out what was important to the organization. And so I found that wonderful. One idea that I really liked, and I think that we're going to pursue it, is doing onboarding for new members and also new board members using Google Classroom, right? Google Classroom is part of our suite. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to do that just for the membership, but I'll figure it out. But also for the board, that's pretty easy to do, is being able to go in and talk about a lot of things, from national resources available, opportunities that are at the national level, strategies that we're pursuing, but also the role and the job, and the technologies we use. I mean, just so many different things. There's kind of a shopping list that I wrote down of things that I think could be weaved into this course that new board members could work through. So we're going to see. We'll see what we do that. I mean, they made a great point. We're in talent development. We should be doing the same things for the members of our organization. Other ideas, some of this pre-work was having budget sheets available to the VPs ahead of time, to see what their priorities were in terms of budgets, and getting that basic information ahead of time. Let's see. Talked about a lot of really nice ideas for team building, and one of them that I really liked was this LinkedIn Jeopardy, by going in and going to all the board members, their LinkedIn, and pulling nuggets out and having a Jeopardy game for the organization. Another one that I had done at another organization, or actually at work, was putting together these small puzzles. You know, they're about 16 pieces, 24 pieces. You have a variety of different puzzles, but the pieces are mixed up between the puzzles. And when you start building the puzzle, you have to figure out which ones you're prioritizing on, and then you have to collaborate in order to get the pieces, which is really indicative of what we do in order to make the chapter work. And a lot of discussion about reaching out to the members to find out really what they want, and you know, how we can provide that for them, you know, how we can help serve them better. So lots of good information there. The next session I sat in on was dealing with revenue generation. So this is an interest to a lot of chapters, that, you know, how do we get more money? And a lot of different strategies on how people, you know, big part of it was membership dues. But what does membership dues actually get you? And so that's something that's kind of swirling in my head. But, you know, in some chapters, membership dues is all encompassing, that all the events are free for the members. For others, you know, the cost for an event is at a lower cost. Talking about a mixed model, you know, so some of these things have been, you know, they're really interesting. And we went through just a big shopping list on, you know, what are revenue streams for, you know, a chapter, you know, events, sponsorships. I really interested in sponsorships. There was a gentleman who seems to have this dialed in, a gentleman from Atlanta chapter, Neil, and, you know, he talked about his process for that. And it was really about getting the right sponsorship for the members, you know, and having a nice happy balance where we were helping the members learn about new tools and new services that were available, and the vendor was having an opportunity to you know, let the membership know. But basically, it brings in money that we can use to pull down the costs for things that we're trying to do, right? So that was, you know, quite interesting. A chip code. That our chip code is 1201. So if you're doing anything through the TD organization, the ATD organization, use that chip code, right? That will help pull money back into our organization. Other things like donation matching, you know, conferences. Our participation in the Northeast Area Conference, ideally, we'll get some money because we are out there actively helping to make that conference go and be successful. Yeah, a lot of other things dealing with that whole sponsorship, you know, having sponsor packages, having, you know, different tiers, how to communicate with them. That was all discussed there. What else? Another session I went into was dealing with the onboarding of new board members, right? And having a process. What's kind of fascinating is, you know, nationally across the organization, that there's a 50% turnover rate. That, for example, our board members, you know, say that they're on for 2 years, but, you know, 50% will sign off before the 2 years is done. You know, and that's kind of national average. I'm not saying that's, you know, for our particular chapter, but that's kind of what's going on. Part of this was ensuring that there was continuity from the old member going off and the new member, you know, what we could do to solidify that. Goes back to this Google Classroom as a way to onboard new members, to bring them up to speed, you know, talking about, you know, the technologies we use, the processes, our bylaws, the operation manuals, anything that's dealing with their specific role, that's all weaved in there. Social media, best practices, branding, making sure that, we're consistent that way. And, just having somebody that's really, focused on the board members that are interacting with them. So there was a lot of, things that I know I can do better, reaching out to our current board members, touching base with them a little better. So, see that coming. And basically these milestone meetings, just to make sure things are on track, what we can do better. There's some gaps that I feel that I know we can be working on. Another nice idea was just making sure that in the board meetings there was an educational piece, right, to help folks better understand the organization at large, but also, maybe something specific in how our chapter operates, just to make sure everybody's on board. I think we've done pretty good with that, but something that I'm going to be focusing on more when I put together the agendas. Another discussion was on how to use past presidents, really to talk about that history. That goes back to that educational nugget, and past presidents can talk about why we do certain things for a certain way. So yeah, looking forward to that. So and then the last session I sat in on was the SOS, right? Share our success. And it really focuses on the care opportunities, but what are we doing that we think we do really well, that we can share this, that others can replicate? And it's kind of hard to see it when you're in the weeds, and this is how normal business, and this is how we operate. So I did submit one while I was sitting there. They'll probably ask me for more information and how we do it, but that was, kind of the idea of it. But there is a repository of all these shared ideas on the talent development site, where chapters can go in and find this for the different areas and, implement them to help raise the level, right? So if we're stuck for ideas, this is a great way to go and check those kind of things out. That opens up us for other opportunities. And so I'm looking forward to that. So that was my first day at the conference, and getting ready to start day 2. So hopefully when I get back tonight, I'll knock another one of these out. Sunny San Diego is not so sunny right now. It's a little overcast, but it's still nice to be here with all the palm trees and being on the marina. So, but that was my first day, and I'm excited to get started on the rest of it. So thanks for watching.